Welcome to Plan On It.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Plan On It with attorney Christopher E. Botti, board-certified specialist in estate planning, trust, and probate law. Chris has more than 30 years of experience helping individuals and families protect what they've built. I'm Sean O'Connor, and today we're beginning a new advanced planning series on the show, and we have our first guest. Joining Chris is Chris Michail, who focuses on advanced estate planning strategies for higher net worth families and complex estates. In this first episode, we're talking about what advanced estate planning actually is, who it's designed for, and why these strategies become important as the wealth grows. Gentlemen, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to
Thank
see
you,
you, Sean.
Sean.
Hey, before we jump in, Chris Michail, I want to just ask you to share a little bit about your background and, what drew you toward this area of estate planning, and listeners get a sense of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been at Botti and Morrison at this firm for about coming up on a year soon. I've been practicing for 5 years. I had previous experience in tax law specifically, but my interest was always in estate planning. And so once I started really, just kind of the bread and butter of estate planning, I really wanted to start getting more into advanced planning because it has much more of intersection of tax issues, and then of course with drafting trust and working with clients, considering their assets and their family dynamics. And so kind of bringing all that together, advanced planning kind of helps those families really kind of plan for the future, in a way to if their point is to minimize taxes and make sure that the money that they worked hard to accrue is going to go to their kids. That's what advanced planning kind of structures. It helps lead to that.
Got it. I mean, would you say, Chris Botti, in terms of if you were describing a distinction, not to get too granular, the distinction between regular estate planning versus advanced estate planning, what's the listeners' takeaway for the biggest differences there?
Think of the regular estate planning as like the foundational documents. So typically that foundation consists of a revocable living trust here in California as it's a part of the foundation, along with powers of attorney, healthcare directives, and all that. So you need to have that foundation, a well-established foundation, solid foundation first before even considering doing advanced planning. And so what advanced planning essentially is those individuals who have high net worth, and we'll get into that later in terms of what those thresholds are, need more than the basic foundational documents to avoid the federal estate tax. And so all the different techniques that drive the advanced planning side of things are all based upon ultimately the goal of reducing estate tax liability and transfer of wealth to the next generation to the best possible extent. And so that's the idea. And so we're super excited that, I got Chris here we brought on, and we have two other attorneys also as part of our of counsel team that are making up this new department we established, the Advanced Estate Planning department in my firm. So I'm really excited about doing podcasts, taking deep dives into these various techniques that we will deploy to get the results the clients want, essentially.
Yeah, well, that's great. I love this. Just a more an advanced, a more sophisticated almost level of knowledge needed. But is it just wealth, dollar amounts that sort of require the advance? Are there other, I'll say, triggers that an estate might be especially complex, or specific goals that would require advanced estate planning?
Sure. I mean, the tax is the number one driver, right? The estate tax is typically the number one driver that gets you into the world of considering advanced planning. But there are other issues too, where you may have a complex family structure, a blended family structure, where you want to bake into the foundational documents certain controls to protect, the bloodlines, for example, with blended families. And so it's not only taxes, but primarily taxes is the trigger for most people. But there are other scenarios too, where there are other types of trusts out there beyond the standard revocable living trust that you can use to deal with complex family situations and the need to control things beyond the person who created the trust's demise because of the structure of the family. So, there's several ways you can get there.
Yeah. Yeah. What about, I mean, obviously, everybody likes to save on their taxes, regardless of income. Chris M, why is it, do you think, why do taxes become such an important consideration once estates do reach a certain size?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Botti has obviously referred to it already, but it really comes down to the gift and estate tax, which are
Oh,
unified under the IRS system. And since 2017, it's increased substantially. So as of this year, it's actually 15 million and 30 million for individuals. So that is really what it comes down to, is the gift and estate tax. So any estates that are worth that are close to those values or exceeding those, they have serious tax implications if they exceed that, and it comes down to a 40% tax on anything that exceeds that 15 or 30 million as of 2026. And so that really is kind of the core of advanced planning. Less so, income taxes or capital gains tax. It really comes down to the estate and gift tax.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Chris B, anything you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, essentially, for the first time in a long time, we finally have some certainty when it comes to the estate tax exemptions. Chris
Yeah.
mentioned it's $15 million per individual, $30 million for a married couple if you properly plan. That's a significant sum of money. So most people aren't implicated by this, right? And so those who are, it's a substantial potential hit. 40% tax above the exemption amount is,
Yeah.
a substantial amount of money. And, the thing about the estate tax, it can be avoided with proper planning. All these techniques we'll be talking about going forward are designed to reduce or eliminate that liability. And that's the ultimate goal of our clients. They would rather leave that money to their family versus to the IRS and the California Franchise Tax Board. No offense, guys.
For someone hearing some of these concepts for the first time, are there misconceptions that you are dealing with sometimes with people about this, advanced estate planning? People come in with a certain impression of what it is, and you have to kind of redirect them. They're common mistakes.
I think the biggest misconception maybe out there amongst clients is that somehow when you deploy these techniques, and there's so many different varieties of them, that there's a complete lack or loss of control, that there's no way to guarantee the outcome, that somehow you're ceding control to another person who's going to take it from there. And that's not necessarily the case. You can still retain elements of control with these advanced techniques. And that's probably the biggest misconception out there.
Chris M, anything you've encountered?
No, I
Myths
agree
you've
with
dispelled?
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's essentially what it is people think because it's irrevocable that in some sense they're losing control of these assets entirely, which is absolutely not the case, right? And there are different structures, of course. A lot of times, and we'll discuss one of them, is a grant and retained annuity trust, where it actually is, in control of the grantors themselves. So there isn't, necessarily complete loss of these assets. And there are certainly myriad of ways to make sure that there is that level of control and power, actually, that the grantors do retain throughout the process.
Oh, I'm looking forward to getting into it. I know you mentioned a couple of specific strategies, and and this is a new series, which is super interesting for folks, and an exciting evolution for the firm, as you described. As we get into this, what can people expect? Like, what are some of the advanced planning strategies we're gonna get into pretty soon here for future episodes? Can you tease any of that?
Yeah, I could. Here's the bottom line. You start off with this process with a clean slate. Like you bring the client in and find out what their objectives are, right? Because that drives ultimately the type of planning we're going to recommend. And so there's so many different types of trusts out there. It's like the alphabet soup of trusts. And we're going to go through a bunch of those trusts. We'll try to cover them all throughout the entire series. But, you first got to make just a general assessment of what are your objectives here? And then go from there. And so we're going to talk about charitable remainder trusts, for example, family limited partnerships, for example, intentionally defective grantor trusts. There is SLATs. It's an endless cornucopia of potential trusts out there that can be used and deployed to help with these issues. And so each one is worthy of its own separate drill down and a deep dive. That's podcast, because they're somewhat technical, but they're amazing at what they're capable of doing. And so the idea is let's get people out there thinking about this stuff, and get them to worry about it, because it's a huge concern. You just can't sit on your hands and ignore it. If you have a large high net worth estate, that problem's not going to go away.
Right. That's great. Thanks for that sort of peek behind the curtain, Chris. And yeah, I mean, some of this, I'm much more of a layman in this category, and it is nice just to okay, hear the terms, understand some rudimentary sort of general things about it, and our listeners will get some familiarity, and then get into some of the gritty details, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to it. Anything you want to add before we wrap up here? I know we'll talk again in the near future.
No, I guess just summarize my commitment with using the podcast series to educate people. And, I'm super excited about the fact that we've got this department going, and we're looking forward to, helping people down the road with these issues, and helping them plan to secure their future and their family's future. So it's super exciting for us. We're
awesome. Hey, I look forward to going on the ride with you and the team. Thanks for being here. Chris Michail, Chris Botti, great talking to you both, and I look forward to future conversations.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Good seeing you.
You bet. That's it for today's episode of Plan on It with attorneys Christopher Botti and Chris Michail. To access more resources, including upcoming estate planning workshops and educational materials, visit bottilaw.com. That's BOTTILAW.com. Thanks for listening. I'm Sean O'Connor. Do us a favor, leave a review, subscribe to the show, maybe share a link with someone in your world who would be interested in this new advanced planning series. That would be much appreciated and very helpful. Have a great day.
If you're enjoying Plan on It, be sure to subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and like the post. Share or tag friends and family who could benefit from clear, practical estate planning guidance.